Hey there, English 102 online students. Welcome to week 11 of our course. So hard to believe we just have a few weeks left to go before we're getting to our final research project. I hope you have had a great Halloween, that you got a chance to go out this evening and wear a costume or maybe go to a party or get some candy. In any case, no matter what you did, I hope you had a great time doing it. Okay, so let's take a look at where we were last week and where we're headed to as we go into week 11, the rest of week 11, and then into week 12. Okay, so on our course calendar, we'll expand that a little bit and we'll scroll all the way down to week 11. Or week 10, because that's where we're just finishing up. So this week you worked on assignment 7.1, and in that assignment you went out and looked for some annotated bibliographies done by other researchers in your field of research, in your topic area that you've selected and that you've been working on all this time. And so I'm eager to see what kinds of bibliographies you found online. Hopefully you were able to find some good ones. And even those bibliographies in and of themselves, hopefully you were able to see that. They can be good research tools for you as well. You might find sources within those bibliographies that you could use in your own research project. Okay, so the other thing you were working on that is due tonight is the critical response essay draft part 2. So as I've been looking through draft part 1, the ones that I gave feedback to last week, I noticed that a lot of students didn't really break down draft part 1 and draft part 2. You kind of put everything into one draft. And the idea with doing it in 2 parts is that you can really focus on doing a great job just on one section before you move into the other section. So the goal of draft part 1 was just to work on the introduction and the summary only, because summarizing somebody else's ideas, putting it in your own words, capturing the most important points of the article or the source that you're reviewing, that's a skill in and of itself. And so I really wanted you to focus just on that for that week. And also it gives you a little bit of a shorter amount of writing to work on, which doesn't feel so overwhelming to do all at once. Then this week you were moving on to draft part 2. So if you already did work on draft part 2, for draft part 1, that's the evaluation or critical analysis of your source. If you already worked on that, I gave you feedback on that too, so hopefully that gave you some good information to be able to revise that part. And so when I look at what you submit tonight, the 31st, within the next couple of days, I'm going to be sending you feedback on the 2 combined parts. Some of you already did that, as I said, so I'll just give you feedback on whatever revisions you've done. And if you're just adding draft part 2 for the first time, you'll get brand new feedback on that section. So what you're going to be doing is taking those 2 parts, draft part 1 and draft part 2, and you're going to be combining them into a final critical response essay. So I will be giving you feedback tomorrow and Tuesday on what you submit tonight, and you'll use that feedback to then submit the final version of your paper. So the idea here was to separate this into 3 parts. And when you have more time to write, more chances to get extra feedback, it helps you create a better product at the end. So I'm eager to see all the final versions of your essays. So the only assignment you're working on this week, the only one that's due this week, is the final version of your critical response essay. You don't have any other homework assignments to work on because I really want you to focus all of your attention just on that assignment. Okay, and to submit that, you will find the submission link in Module 6. So we'll take a quick trip here into our course modules. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to 6. And you should see all the way at the bottom of this folder the link that you need to submit the final version. And if you need to refresh your memory on the process, you'll also see here the flow chart. So you are submitting part 2 this evening, the 31st. You'll get your feedback on drafts part 2 and 1 combined in the next couple of days, and then you'll revise everything and submit it by Sunday, November 7th. Okay, the other thing I did want to make sure that you heard more information about this week is the annotated bibliography. This isn't due until Sunday, November 14th, so you still have a couple of weeks, but I would strongly recommend you work on this little by little over the next 2 weeks. So the only thing that's due next Sunday is the final version of the critical response essay, but the annotated bibliography, you could go ahead and just work on a source here and there throughout the next 2 weeks. And then by the time the 14th comes, you've got it mostly finished. So to see the information for that assignment, we are going to go to Module 7. And you already worked on assignment 7.1 in this folder last week, so you were getting familiar with annotated bibliographies and the role that they play in the research process. So now we're going to take a look at the assignment guidelines for the annotated bibliography. And what this assignment is it's basically a collection of the sources that you've gathered on your research topic up to this point. Okay, and just to define what a bibliography is, it's just a list of sources. It can be books, journals, websites, periodicals, TED Talks, documentary films, videos, etc., that you've used for researching a topic. So the works cited list or a references list in APA style that you have at the end of your essay, that is technically a bibliography. It's just that APA style calls the bibliography references and MLA style calls it works cited. And it includes bibliographic information like the author, the title, the publisher, etc. So in annotated bibliography, it has a summary and an evaluation of each of the sources. And so your goal in each annotation, you're going to have a citation followed by an annotation. And in the annotation, you're summarizing the source, assessing it, and reflecting on it. And what that means is that you're looking for the main arguments, the main points of that source. You know, if you were to tell someone else about it, how would you describe it to them? And you're assessing the source. How useful is it within your project? Is the information reliable? How does it compare with other sources in your bibliography? Why do you have it there? Why did you choose it for your bibliography? And then you'll reflect on it. How does it fit into your research? How is it going to help you shape your argument? How can you use that source in your research project? Has it helped you change your thinking about the topic at all? All right, so the audience will be me and a general academic audience. We won't do a peer review for this type of assignment. I don't think it would be a super helpful one to do a peer review on in any case. Okay, so why are we doing this assignment? One is that you're going to learn about your topic. The more sources you collect, even if you don't end up using all of these sources in your final research paper, you're still learning more about your topic. You could also discover that you might need to add other sources later on as we get closer to the final research paper. So this is really just still part of the research process. Another thing bibliographies are good for is to help other researchers and extend your own research. So that 7.1 assignment you did where you went out and looked for a bibliography on your topic published by another person, that's helping you as a researcher. So the bibliography that you create could potentially help some other researcher on down the line. All right, so the requirements for your bibliography, you're going to need a total of 6 sources for the final research project, the Problem Solution Research Report. And I would definitely recommend you go ahead and start looking at the assignment guidelines for that too. I'll show you where those are just in a few minutes. In that final research project, you'll need a minimum of 5 sources. So for this bibliography, I'm going to ask you to put 6. And the reason for that is because maybe you might drop a source, one that you don't find that useful later on. It's always good to have a little bit more than you need. You can always drop things, but it's hard later on to add something. Okay, so of course, as it tells you here, you're going to be writing this bibliography on the topic you've been researching throughout the semester. In preparation for the final research paper, the Problem Solution Research Report. So this is all kind of a continuous process to get to the final project. You're becoming an expert in your project, in other words. Okay, so your source or your bibliography must include 6 sources, and the specific guidelines are right here. So you need 1 article from an academic or scholarly journal, and you can find those in lots of databases you've been using. 1 well-researched newspaper article, 1 in-depth article from a reputable magazine, and 3 other credible and scholarly sources of your choosing, like a book, ebook, book chapter, documentary film, blog post, TED Talk, website from a credible organization or author. A lot of choices there. Of course, and I've had students ask me in the past, if you want to add another journal article or you want to add another newspaper or magazine article, those are perfectly acceptable too. So in the chart underneath there, I've given you some ideas of possible publications that fall under those categories. You're not limited to those, they're just to give you ideas. If you're not sure about a source, don't hesitate to ask me about it. All right, so as far as the organization, you'll start off with a citation, making sure that it's either an ML8 or APA7 guidelines, depending on which one you've chosen to focus on this semester. I think almost everybody's doing MLA. They should be in alphabetical order. They should be formatted with double spacing and hanging indents, just like they were when you were working on the Module 5 assignments. And then you'll add an annotation. That's a paragraph of about 100 to 125 words where you summarize the content of the source, assess how reliable and credible it is as an academic source, and reflect on how it will fit into your research. Okay, so some sample bibliographies I have attached right here. There are some kind of guidelines or annotations that are at this link right here from Purdue OWL. If you go back into Module 7, you'll see there's also a template for MLA or APA. Let's just go ahead and open up the one for MLA since that's the most familiar one to everybody. And so this gives you an idea of what your MLA annotated bibliography would look like. So it's formatted just like it would be for any other essay assignment. You put your topic here, the thesis statement that you think you're going to have for your problem solution research report, and then the annotated bibliography. So you see some sample citations with an annotation that follows each one, and it shows you exactly how your document should be formatted. If you need to see APA, if for some reason you want to give that a try, you will see that sample is right here as well. The link to submit your bibliography is right here, annotated bibliography. Okay, as far as due dates, it will be due Sunday, November 14th. At that link in the bottom of the Module 7 folder. And there's no draft required for this. What you submit is going to be your final version. But of course, I welcome and encourage you to get in touch if you have any questions about how to format your assignment or anything that you are wondering about as you go through the process. Okay, so like I said, this one isn't due for another couple of weeks, but I would definitely recommend over the next 2 weeks, a day here and a day there, start to add some annotations to your bibliography so you're not kind of slammed all at the last minute trying to get it finished. Okay, as far as the the problem solution research report, hey, if you look at Module 8, you can go ahead and kind of get a head start in there. If you scroll down past these homework assignments, let me see, it must be Module 9 where we see all of that final problem solution research report information. Yes, that's right here. So in the final module, okay, you'll see major writing assignment 4, problem solution research report. I would also highly recommend going here and taking a look at those report guidelines. I will make in next week's video, I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. I don't want to overload you with too many assignment explanations in 1 week. So for this week, focus on the final critical response essay. Start to take a look and maybe work on bits and pieces of your annotated bibliography. And then next week, you'll learn all about the final problem solution research report. Okay, so that's everything for this week. I wish you once again a happy Halloween, and I'll see you all next time.